All right, everybody, let's look at our percent study guide today. So hopefully this helps us understand percents a little bit more here. For these, remember, percent means that it's out of 100. So we're always looking for that 100 when we have a percent. For 23% here, just a visual, I'm going to go ahead and shade in 23 of these squares. There we go. That's how we show visually 23%. For 9%, I'm going to shade in 9 of these squares. You can shade in any 9 you want to. You can pick 9 random ones. I usually just like to stay in order like this. All right, let's move on to writing at some decimals and fractions as percents. So remember with a decimal like 0.71, 71 hundredths, we're going to take that decimal and move it 2 spaces to the right, and then I leave it there. So this one is actually 71%. And that makes sense. It's 71 hundredths, so it's 71 over 100. It's 71%. 0.015, move this 2 spaces to the right, and now I have 1.5%. Right, nothing too tricky there. Just a basic skill that we need to practice, right? When we get here, 3/10, so 2 ways to do this. We could convert this to hundredths, or we could use our calculator. When you use your calculator for something like this, numerator to denominator, top to bottom, 3 divided by 10, we get 0.3. So I can write 0.3, and then we move that decimal 2 spaces to the right. Remember, fill in the space with that blank with a 0, so I get 30%. Same with 3/8. 3 divided by 8, 0.375. We'll also check out how to do this as a fraction, because that is an important skill to know too. Move the decimal 2 spaces to the right, 37.5%. All right, so let's practice doing that as fractions now too, because we should get the same results. So 3/10, if I want to write an equivalent fraction to be out of 100, remember you're going to multiply this fraction by 1, and to multiply it by 1 to be clever, we're going to do 10 over 10, because 10 times 10 is 100. Notice how this 30 over 100, that's exactly 30%. All right, with this 3/8, that can be a little bit trickier. Going from 8 to 100 isn't always easy to do. If you do figure it out, you can multiply by 12.5. But that's not always easy to figure out. So one way that I would suggest is converting to fourths, because 4 gets to 100 better, easier. So divide by 2, divide by 2. So essentially you're dividing by 1. So 1.5 out of 4. And then I need to scale this up, make my equivalent fraction out of 100. 4 times 25. 1.5 times 25. I would suggest using a calculator here. You do get 37.5, which is exactly what we got before too. All right, so either way will work there. All right, let's check out the next part of the study guide. Determine the shaded part of each figure and write it as a fraction, a decimal, and a percent. All right, so shaded part of this figure, 4 out of 4. It says write our fractions in lowest terms. Lowest terms, that would be 1. As a decimal, well, it's just 1. As a percent, 100%. All right, next one. Think about this one being shaded, and then we have 4 out of 8, and that simplifies to 1/2. Okay. If I do 1 divided by 2, I get 0.5, so that's my decimal. And as a percent, move that decimal over 2 spaces to the right, so I get 50%. All right, let's keep rolling here. Ordering from least to greatest. This is where I definitely suggest using a calculator. So 2 divided by 5, you're going to get 0.4. 0.07, that's already a decimal. So if we have these all in the same form, we can compare them easier. Percent to decimal, remember move that 2 spaces to the left, and then that's where your decimal goes. 3/10, 0.3, 0.43, it's already a decimal. All right, so when you order them from least to greatest, we're going to go back and write the original values first. The lowest one would be this 3/10. So least would be 3/10. So we've used that already. Next, going from, oh wait, not 3/10. So that's why we're crossing them out, right? 0.07 would go first. So I left myself some room there. So then 3/10, then this 0.37, so then 37%. Remember, it always helps to be writing these down. Then next we only have 2 options, 0.4 and 0.43. So 0.4, originally written as 2/5. And then the last thing is 0.43. Pay attention to, because it says from least to greatest. Sometimes it'll change based on how it's written. Make sure that we just read the problem correctly. All right, next one. What is 15% of a restaurant check? That is $46.72. Explain how you calculated your answer. Round to the nearest hundredth if necessary. So we're going to change this percent into a decimal. Move it 2 spaces to the left. That's dividing by 100. So we're going to do 15% of, remember, times $46.72. So I'm going to go ahead and use my calculator again. So we'll say 46.72 times 0.15, 7.008. So we're dealing with money, though. Money usually only has, pennies. So that'll round to $7.01. All right, so the explanation part 2 now. It says explain how you got your answer. So first, I changed 15% into 0.15. Then I multiplied by the total on the check. And we did round. All right, next one's determine each value. So this is just number 5, but no explanation. You just do it. So change this into a decimal times $40. So 3.2. Remember, with money, because this is money, it'd be $3.20. Fill in that place value there. That's important. It's not 2 cents, it's 20 cents. All right, same idea with the next one. 15% of 75. So I get $11.25. Those were really straightforward. Finding the percent of a number, make it into a decimal, then multiply. And you got it. All right, I think we're going to need our calculator out here. So this one is about penalty kicks. It says a coach needs to decide who will take the penalty kick during a soccer game. He wants to choose the player with the best chance, keywords there, best chance, of making a goal. He has the following statistics for his top 4 players. Who should the coach choose to take the penalty kick? Explain your answer. So when we look at this, we want to look at who has the best percent. So to find a percent, we take the shots they made divided by how many they took. And we might need to round for some of these. So 8 divided by 11, we get 0.727273. Okay, so it's going to round to 0.7272, so it's 72 repeating. And then when we change that into a percent, it's going to be 72.72%. or we can round to 72.73%. All right, so now we know that the first person, Izzy, makes 72.73% of her penalty kicks. So pretty good, above 70%. Let's check out Fiona's. 12 she's made divided by how many she took. 12 divided by 17. 70.8. So we're going to show our work here 0.70582. All right, let's move the decimal 2 places to the right. So I get 70, we're going to round it 70.6%. So already she's not in the lead, so she's not the choice, right? This 72% is better than 70%. All right, let's check out the next one. I'm going to draw an arrow here. 19 out of 25. So let's go ahead and divide those and find what this percent is. This is GG. So 19 divided by 25. 0.76. So if we move the decimal 2 spaces to the right, we get 76%. All right, that's already the best. We got one more to check, and then we'll see if this person will take over. So Angela makes 6 out of 9. 6 out of 9. So she's 0.6 repeating, it looks like. So we'll round there, move the decimal 2 spaces. We get 66.7%. All right, so who's our winner? Who's the highest? It was Gigi with 76%. All right, so it says to explain our answer. We'll say Gigi should take the kick. We found the percentages of made penalty kicks, and hers is the greatest. So that's how you're using statistics to help you make decisions like this. All right, let's go ahead and look at part 8. We do need a calculator again here. This says the 6th grade class was asked the question, where would you prefer to volunteer? The results are shown in the table. What percent of the 6th grade class preferred each activity? Write your answers in the table and round to the nearest whole percent if necessary. Okay, so important here. They want us to round to the nearest whole percent. So we don't want any decimals in our final answer. We need a total number of students though. So let's look at this. Number of students for each thing. Well, how do we get a total? We add them up. Okay, so this is a little bit more involved. They don't tell us specifically find the total, then find this. We have to know that we're looking for a total. So total students is 180. And now we're going to get each percent. So this is where we're going to show our work on the side here. 38 divided by the total number. So I get 0.21111. Rounding to the nearest whole percent, so move 2 spaces to the right. 21.1. So they want us to round to the nearest whole percent. 21%. All right, next one with the food pantry. So there's 44. I'm going to do 44 divided by 180. Just good to show our work on the side too. So we get 0.2 and then 44444. So if we move our decimal 2 spaces to the right, we get 24.4%, so rounds to 24%. All right, next one, senior center, so 42 students. 42 divided by the total 180. 0.2 and then 3 repeating. So we move 2 spaces to the right, that's 23%. And, you know, check for reasonability as you're going to, like, the number of students, like, the higher the number of students that are doing this, the higher the percent should be. So it makes sense that 38 is the lowest percent. 44 has a slightly higher percent than 42. This reading program, this should be the highest percent, right? 56 divided by 180. So our percentage of kids that volunteered for the reading program is 31.11111%. So we're going to round it to 31% because we're rounding it to the nearest whole. All right, there were no explanations asked there, so that's all we had to do for that one. All right, let's check out these. This says a salesperson makes 15% commission on everything she sells. So this means that when you sell something, you make money based on whatever the total was. How much commission will she make on a sales of $1,200? This is just like our tip problem before. They're basically asking, what is 15% of 1,200? Well, we have to know how to change that into a decimal first, and then multiply by 1,200. So showing my work there, then I'll go ahead and use my calculator, and we get $180. We weren't asked to explain anything, we just had to show our work. All right, last one here says Marianne has read 136 pages of her new book, which is 40% of the book. So this is using a double number line. What is the total number of pages in the book? So if we're using a double number line, really helpful. So can we go from 40 to 100 easily? Like 40 times 2 would be 80. 40 times 3 would be 120. So we're actually going to scale down first. 40 to 20. If we divide by 2, we get there, right? So if we divide by 2, we'll scale down properly here. 136 divided by 2. So that's 68. So 20% is 68. So why does that help us? So remember what we learned from here. Now I can go 20 all the way up to 100. So 20 times 5 would be 100. So let's do the same here. These have to stay in proportion. So 68 times 5, that'll be 100% of the book, so 340 pages. All right, I hope that helps us studying. Pause, rewind, do what you need to do on this, and good luck.